Good morning, everybody. It is Sunday. Hope your day's off to a great start. Looking really great in the city of Atlanta right now if you're planning to get outside. Hope you enjoy the day. It's the last day before school starts for a lot of kids in metro Atlanta. So enjoy it before you're back in the classroom tomorrow. Good luck to everybody. We'll talk about the districts going back in just a minute. I'm Megan Packer. Thanks for checking in with us here at Atlanta News First Plus. We've got First Alert meteorologist Courtney Jacobazzi on standby as well. She'll update you on the forecast for today, the week ahead, and of course, all eyes on Tropical Storm Debby and what that storm will mean for our friends to the south and on the coast in Georgia. So stay tuned for that. Right now, let's talk about what's making news this morning here in Atlanta. Still a lot of people talking this morning about former President Donald Trump in Atlanta last night. He and his running mate, J.D. Vance, were here for a rally. And this was a look at the crowd here at the Georgia State University Convocation Center. And some of the big headlines today is that Trump was really bashing Governor Brian Kemp a decent amount during this rally, also online before he took to the stage. And several GOP lawmakers are now posting their support for Kemp online. And even Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens, who is a Democrat, called out Trump for attacking his own party. And the mayor defended his city in a video he posted on social media last night after the former president took some jabs at the city of Atlanta as well. So still lots of reaction coming in today. Really, it's all over social media, a lot of different people reacting to that. And also last night when the former president was speaking, he kept up his attacks on Vice President Kamala Harris, who held a rally at that same venue just days ago. She was there Tuesday for a rally. She is headed back to Georgia this coming week. She'll be in Savannah later this week for a campaign stop. And she has also challenged Donald Trump to show up for the ABC debate he originally agreed to when President Biden was the Democratic candidate. But now Trump says the debate has to be on Fox News. People who live in the Northwest Atlanta apartment complex that recently went up in flames are getting really frustrated with that apartment management company. They say the people who run Bell Collier Village on Howe Mill Road are not communicating with them. They won't let them inside to get things like birth certificates and medications. Apartment managers, though, say it is not safe to enter and the building is a complete loss. We told you that the cause of this was recently released. Investigators say that there was an unsanctioned party on the rooftop of that building, and there was I believe it was an issue with the grill there on that rooftop party that sparked that fire, displacing so many residents here in this Northwest Atlanta apartment. So we are definitely staying on top of this one. Atlanta police are investigating two different shootings from last night. One of them happened at an apartment complex here on Lake Avenue near Donald Lee Hollowell Parkway in Northwest Atlanta. We only know the victim is male, no word on his age or his condition at this point. And then about 30 minutes later, around 10:15 last night, somebody was shot near the Fox Original Jamaican restaurant on Edgewood Avenue in Southeast Atlanta. We know also that was a male victim. But again, no description of a suspect or any further details about that person who was shot. So we are expecting an update, hopefully within the next hour or so, from Atlanta police about those shootings. And we will be sure to update you here on this channel all day long and in our Atlanta News First app as we learn more about those two violent incidents in the city last night. And we mentioned it a little while ago, but it is back to school tomorrow for several districts. We know some of you already went back to school last week. Tomorrow, we are talking about DeKalb, Fayette, Fulton, Gilmer, Griffin Spalding, Gwinnett, Heard, and Lumpkin counties all going back to school. So we wish everybody the best first day back and a really good year ahead. Make it a good one. And we know you're wondering how the weather is looking and what the tropical storm means for maybe the bus stop forecast, or if you're trying to get out to the pool today to enjoy this last day of summer. So let's bring in First Alert meteorologist Courtney Jacobazzi to talk about it. It looks pretty nice right now.
Yeah.
Warming up quickly, though, in the city, Courtney.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be a very summer-like day today. That'll be the name of the game. It'll be hot, it'll be humid, and we'll have the chance for a few isolated afternoon and early evening thunderstorms. But if you are trying to get to the pool, maybe try to get the last few pool hours of summer break in, you'll have the opportunity to do so today. The rain chance staying very slim today, but not none, so just something to keep in mind. You probably know the drill by now because we've had a lot of days like this where in the afternoon those isolated storms will start to bubble up. You'll hear the rumble of thunder. You'll see the clouds get dark. So just kind of keep your eyes to the skies, keep your ears listening. If you hear any rumbles of thunder, just make your way indoors, and then you can go back and enjoy pool time after those storms pass on by. Our First Alert Weather app, a great tool to have on days like today. It'll let you know if storms are in your area, and you can track them and keep track of them if they are over your area. So let's talk about the forecast. Of course, we also do have to talk about Tropical Storm Debby that is swirling in the Gulf of Mexico right now. It is expected to become a hurricane later tonight, if not by the overnight hours, but we'll give you everything you need to know because I know a lot of you probably wondering how that could impact your first week back to school. For some of the kids, their first full week back to school. Again, hot and humid today with a few afternoon storms, and Debby is going to be the big talking point really for most of this week. Thankfully, I'll say it right off the bat, our impacts right now look very minimal with this storm. And I am working on a web story solely for the storm that you can keep track of. That'll have a place on our website for you that you can go to refer or get updated on any information. All right, let's talk about today. So as we make our way through the afternoon, we'll continue to see a lot of sunshine. If you live south of the city, you'll see more clouds because the cloud shield from Debby will be starting to make its way inland today. Temperatures around noon in the low to mid 80s. And then notice as we make our way towards 3 o'clock, we'll have the chance for scattered showers and thunderstorms. Between about 1 and 6 will be the best chance for rain today, but really isolated at best. This model is actually the wettest model for today, but isolated storms will be a possibility. So if you're headed to the Braves game today, that's at 12:20. If you have, or 1:20, I believe, if you are headed to the pool, headed to the park, anything today in the middle of the day, just keep in mind, and you actually just saw that update with me. I don't think that has ever happened here on Atlanta News First Plus. Looking drier. Nonetheless, isolated storms possible between about 1 and 6, and we will keep the chance for at least a few showers past 8 o'clock, but the overnight should be mostly quiet. And tomorrow morning to send you out the door for your first day back to school, back to work after the weekend, which hopefully is wonderful for you. It's going to be mostly dry, muggy, temperatures in the low 70s. DeKalb County, one of the schools going back tomorrow, low 80s by noon. It's also going to be breezy tomorrow afternoon. And by 3 o'clock, as the kids are getting off the bus or getting on the bus to go home, maybe a few isolated storms that will continue into the evening commute around 4 or 5 o'clock as well. We'll keep the chance for just a few isolated showers and thunderstorms. Here's a look at the wind gusts for tomorrow. So we'll really start to see those gusts pick up as we head into the afternoon hours. The further south of the city you are, the closer you are to Tropical Storm Debby, which will be making its way south of us tomorrow afternoon. So you'll have higher wind gusts. If you are north of Atlanta, your gusts will be a little lower. We're talking about 15 to 20 miles per hour for our northern suburbs. 20 to 30 miles per hour will be for most of Metro and points south. Again, higher gusts the further south of the city you go. Not expecting tropical storm force winds or wind gusts, which is about 39 to 40 miles per hour. That's not in the cards for us, but a 30 mile per hour wind gust can't be completely ruled out when we head into tomorrow afternoon. Here is Tropical Storm Debby right now, currently swirling in the Gulf of Mexico, pretty much paralleling the Fort Myers area, bringing some very heavy rain. Within those outer rain bands, some severe weather could be expected today along the Gulf Coast. Tampa getting a lot of rain, the Florida Keys, and this will continue to move off to the north as we make our way through the day today, becoming a Category 1 hurricane by late tonight, potentially into the overnight hours. This is expected to make landfall along the Big Bend region of Florida, which just got hit with Idalia last year. Thankfully, this is not going to be to the caliber of Idalia, but nonetheless, still another hurricane that is going to impact places like St. George, Apalachicola, Steinhatchee, Crystal River, really anywhere along the Big Bend and beyond, because the impacts go far outside of this forecast cone, which is something to remember and to remind you of. But this storm will quickly weaken as it makes its way inland. It'll also slow down significantly. Its steering current is really going to be loosened as it makes its way inland, so that's going to make this storm kind of stall along the Atlantic coastline. Notice by Monday afternoon, making its way through South Georgia and then continuing to linger along the coast all the way into late week. But notice how big that cone gets by Friday. You have that big blob kind of at the end of that cone. That's because of some of the uncertainty with where this storm is going to go late week. There is the potential that it wobbles back inland a little bit as we head into Friday, which could increase our rain chance here at home. But most models, and I'll show you what our spaghetti models say, most models do keep the storm kind of riding along the coast and not necessarily making that shift back inland, but we'll take you through it. Here's a look at noon today. The storm will again continue to be in the Gulf, strengthening. It's riding along a very large ridge of high pressure in the Gulf or in the Atlantic. We call it the Bermuda High, and again, going to strengthen into a Cat 1 hurricane, making landfall sometime early Monday morning along the Big Bend region. In the meantime, tomorrow morning, bringing very heavy rain to the Jacksonville area, down towards Valdosta, and then it will continue to make its way into South Georgia tomorrow afternoon. Notice at 3 o'clock, you see a few showers and thunderstorms moving into North Georgia. Those are just wraparound showers and storms. We're not going to expect severe weather with them but you could get a heavy downpour. This is a tropical air mass that this is naturally moving into, so some heavy downpours possible. Most of us tomorrow will notice an increase in cloud cover, the pickup of the wind, and maybe a few isolated showers and thunderstorms. Meanwhile, we have a whole tropical storm just a couple hundred miles to our southeast. Here's a look at 5 a.m. Tuesday. So again, a very slow mover from really 8 a.m. Monday all the way into 8 a.m. Tuesday. This storm is lingering in South Georgia and along the Georgia coastline. So it's going to bring really heavy rain from Valdosta to Savannah to Tybee, all the way into Charleston. So they're expecting upwards of about 10 to 15 inches of rain along the Georgia and South Carolina coast. Here at home, we're on the left side of this storm, on the left side of tropical systems. You actually get sinking air, so that's the drier side of the storm. Notice that we're just going to experience cloud cover, it looks like, extra cloud cover as that storm stays stalled along the coast through midweek. Now, late week, here we are Friday morning. The GFS model has this storm falling apart and kind of merging with a cold front that's going to be moving in. And this is one of the few models that does have the storm wobbling back inland as it does merge with that front. This would increase our rain chance clearly on Friday, but I want to take a look at the European model. A very different story. This has the storm kind of getting caught up in that front, and that front will push it on along up the Atlantic coastline, keeping us dry on Friday. So there's still a lot of uncertainty with this, which is natural this far out. We'll get a better idea, especially by tomorrow. Once the storm makes landfall and we see how land interaction interrupts the center of this system, you'll really get a better idea of where this is going to go late week. But right now, there's still some uncertainty, but what you need to know is that the GFS is kind of an outlier. Very good agreement that this storm will make a landfall somewhere kind of near St. George. And then notice most of that cluster stays into South Georgia and then kind of fizzles apart kind of near Savannah. There's only a few lines that really make it through North Georgia. So the GFS, which brings this storm a little bit further inland, is pretty much an outlier, but it's not impossible. Something we'll be watching. If that storm does move inland, we're not necessarily looking at a huge flooding threat, which is the good news. Again, the flooding threat will mainly stay along the Big Bend of Florida, the Panhandle, all the way up the coastline. We can maybe pick up 3 to 4 inches of rain if we did get the wetter solution with this storm. If something like the Euro played out where it goes up the coast and leaves us alone, we'll pick up maybe about 1/4 of an inch of rain with some locally heavy amounts in those heavier downpours. So kind of put it all together, here's what we know. A few showers possible tomorrow, and it will be breezy. The breezier conditions south of the city. Late week remains uncertain, but right now no tropical storm force conditions are expected. So we're not going to look at tropical storm force winds. We're not going to look at any kind of crazy inland flooding. That is the good news with this storm right now, but this is still a little bit of a fluid forecast, so something you'll just want to pay attention to as we make our way through the week. In the meantime, here's a look at that First Alert 7-day forecast. About a 30% coverage of showers and storms today, mainly between about 1 and 6. And then as we head into the start of the week, a few isolated storms from Debby will be possible tomorrow afternoon and evening. That extra cloud cover in the breeze will hold temperatures generally in the 80s, and then we'll stay in the 80s Tuesday. Any of the rain this week will be a combination of the heat of the day and maybe a wraparound shower from Debby as it lingers along the coast. And then I did increase the rain chances slightly Friday and Saturday and Thursday, and that's to account for the potential that Debby does start to wobble a little bit further inland, and we're going to have a cold front moving through. So both of those things working together could increase our rain chances, but those temperatures and rain chances are both penciled in. Definitely want to come back for an update as we go through the week and get a better handle on exactly what's going to happen with Debby, because that will obviously change our forecast in some way. But again, right now, as you're thinking about, the kids going back to school tomorrow, you going back to work, even though this storm is only going to be a couple hundred miles to our south, it's not going to have a major impact on us. The wind will pick up, which will honestly probably feel pretty nice. You'll notice some extra cloud cover, maybe a spotty shower. But if you do have family or friends along the coast, they definitely need to be paying attention to this storm, because the inland and coastal flooding will definitely be an issue there. Also, the threat for some storm surge will also be present as we head into this upcoming week. But our threats right now, our impacts from Debby, do look minimal. We'll continue to keep an eye on it as we make our way through the day-to-day and the upcoming week. All right, everyone. I hope you make it a wonderful Sunday. We will catch you here next time. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you next time on Atlanta News First Plus.